When you first go onto the ESS BIZTOOLS sites, you'll go to the home page. You need to click onto products. And we then go into business advisory services. And within business advisory services, just for those of you who are not familiar with the ESS BIZTOOLS website presentation, on the left-hand side in the grey background, we have the modules that are part of introducing business advisory services to an accountancy business. And on the right-hand side, we have the products that we have currently developed that are included within ESS BIZTOOLS. So the subject today is survival in difficult times for SMEs, so we'll now bring that up. When you first visit our site, you receive an executive summary to cover what's included within the presentation. So we'll now download that. We're going to download this into a Word document. It just facilitates the linkage from one segment to another. Whilst that's downloading, let's set the scene for why we'd be looking at survival in difficult times. There's an article in today's media that Australia is on track for an extended economic slump. As evidence mounts, the wider economy is failing to pick up the slack from a slowdown in the mining boom. Two of the nation's leading economic forecasters have warned the transition away from the mining boom was likely to be a slower and more painful process than previously predicted. The latest economic snapshots show historically low interest rates are failing to spark activity in critical non-mining sectors such as housing, construction, increasing risk of an extended period of below-trend growth. Deloitte's partner Stephen Smith yesterday said the outlook for housing remains shaky, and it was unlikely to emerge as the key driver of future growth as planned by the Reserve Bank. With non-residential building approvals well below their global financial crisis levels, and with governments looking to constrain spending, this category of construction activity is looking increasingly unlikely to take over the mantle of growth driver for the economy. The Deloitte report follows an update from BIS Shrapnel, which warned that the transition away from the mining sector will be a, quote, real nail biter. Director of BIS Shrapnel said building activity would pick up over the next 2 years, but the pace would be uncomfortably slow. Sober comments. Your clients are operating in the Australian economy that is obviously experiencing some real difficulties. The boom states of Western Australia and Queensland have curtailed a lot of their significant expansions. And in fact, in a city like Mackay in North Queensland, which was considered to be one of the centre points of the coal mining boom, there's a significant retraction of business activities currently occurring. So for that reason, we believe that this particular product within ESS BIZTOOLS, survival in difficult times, is a interesting product for you to utilize to obtain further information from your clients, to be able to help your clients map out a plan for how they are going to survive this period. So the way we have put this material together is that we have a questionnaire which is linked to a paper which discusses in greater detail some of the implications of the strategies that businesses are adopting for the various questions. So within the site we have 40 odd questionnaires, and on the screen at present you can see the headings for the questionnaires relative to financial review, the questionnaires relative to market and customer review, cash flow review, performance analysis, and then more general business operations review, covering a whole range of items. This documentation has been prepared to enable you to type in answers to various questions and then type in an overall comment on each particular section that will then form part of the overall report that you're able to submit back to your client. So we just go back to the beginning. If you want to get a heading, you just click on it, and this is the questionnaire relative to financial accounts review. And this is some work that you could undertake in a, say, a 2-hour session with a client to go through and record answers. You can type in their answers and they will be maintained. You can clear answers at any time by clearing the worksheet. So what you're trying to then gain is a full understanding of what particular requirements the client has undertaken. If you've decided on some specific action from the financial accounts review, you would type the answer in item 6, and that would automatically be summarized within the review report. I just want to go back to the top of the page first of all and to show you another item. We have this linked to a paper. So this link here is to steps to ensure peak business fitness. So the questionnaire has been analysing the financial position. Here is some background material that you might care to use when you're talking to your client as to the ways that they may look at undertaking various activities to improve their performance. So one of the big issues here is cost review. The recent report that CCH released on a review of Australian small business identified that reviewing and understanding costs was the highest rated item from a small medium enterprise operator's point of view. It was interesting that when accountants were presented with the same information, and 212 accounting firms were interviewed as part of that process, that accountants rated cost control as the third most important item from a small business operator's point of view. Has the business reviewed its labour productivity? What's going on waste control? What's the review of debtors and cash flow management in the business? Is there a review of stock and inventory? What about work in progress? So there's a number of questions there that you can utilize to try to prompt discussions with your clients. You could brainstorm some creative ways to increase revenue and reduce costs. So you can go back and review these sorts of items, and then we can go back to where we were within the document. If we wanted to go back to the index to look at a next series of questions, we just go to there. And how about we go to debtors days outstanding calculator. So if you wanted to review first of all some comments on debtors management, here are some comments. This is not a full debtors management system, but hopefully it's going to enable you to review what is happening within your client's business on debtors management so that you can analyze this. The recent Dun & Bradstreet report on debtors indicated that debtors days outstanding in Australia are now 55 days. I don't think any of us as advisors to small medium enterprises can be happy with that figure, 55 days. Nearly double what it should be. 30 days trading terms are the norm for most businesses, yet the average is 55. There are plenty of businesses that are still getting paid within 30 days. It'd be interesting to analyse what their secrets are, because there are also other businesses that are taking 70, 80, 90 days on average to get paid. If you've got clients in that category, I'd suggest that you undertake a full debtors system review. And within ESS BIZTOOLS in the Business Advisory Services package, we do have a full system on debtors and a debtors manual. So there's various comments there to hopefully prompt you or your team member, your accountant who's conducting this review with your client, to be able to raise some questions. As to how they're performing. There's also a link to the commentary on debtors financing and factoring that may be of benefit, especially if the client has turnover of over $500,000 per annum. That seems to be the minimum turnover that banks and specialist debtors financiers are looking for to introduce that type of facility. Let's have a look at some of the questions in debtors review. Do they receive directors' guarantees from directors of companies? What do they do with them? Are they able to find them in the unfortunate event that they might need them? Do they have a letter confirming their terms of trade with their customer? And this is fully explored in the debtors management module, but these are just basic questions so that you can get a feel for the system your client's using. Because there's got to be a whole range of small businesses out there who we believe have not implemented their debtor systems properly. Otherwise, why are they on 55 days? One of the reasons is some businesses are not abiding by their customers' terms of trade. They're told that they need to submit tax invoices by the 10th day of a month, and they submit them on the 13th and wonder why they don't get paid then to the following month. Needs a system installed. We have included a debtors days outstanding calculator to assist you, first of all, to calculate what the debtors days outstanding currently are for this particular client, and so that the client is then able to introduce a targeted debtors days outstanding so that you can then calculate what the cash flow improvement might be. And we just have a simple chart here for turnovers up to 2.2 million annually to indicate that if someone is trading on 30 days and their turnover's 1,650,000, well, their debtors days, their debtors sum outstanding should only be $135,000. But obviously if they're trading on 90 days, they'll be up around 406,000. It's just a reckoner to assist you in analysing their debtor's position. Another area that I thought we should look at is sales review. So there's a range of questions there on what a business is doing relative to its selling strategies. And we have a sales analysis workbook to assist in analysing individual departments, the sales, the monthly average, number of customers, average sale. Now, some of your businesses won't be able to give you the exact number of customers, but a good guess is probably as accurate as what you're going to get. But it's very interesting to look at average sales. So you can then be looking at what types of changes you might be able to make to that business's performance. Then we have a chart which you might be able to complete, which is basically built around sales targets. Now that needs you to know how many customers the customer has, what's the average sale, frequency of visit. And again, this might be good estimates from the customer's point of view to start with. And what's the gross profit percentage, so that you can obtain details of the present sales, but broken up into number of customers, average sale, and frequency of transactions. And then what about making some changes? If you increase number of customers by 5%, increase the average sale by, say, 4%, increase the frequency of visits by 10%, what sort of change does that then make? And we have a workbook then that you could utilize with your client to show them the changes that can occur by just playing around with figures. And obviously everything's got to be brought back to gross profit, but to undertake a specific sales campaign, you may have some extra outlays, particularly in marketing and promotions, and some extra labour expenditure. We'll put that in so you obtain an adjusted stickable gross profit. There's questions about cash flow. So you can link back and read what was said in the paper we're referring to about the problems of managing cash flow. Cash flow management is probably the biggest single issue confronting small businesses. Even the CCH survey in identifying cost control was really a component of cash flow management. So if you need some additional information to prompt you in your discussions with the client, well, hopefully the linkages back to this commentary within the paper will assist you in doing so. There's then some commentary on customers. Customer review. What are the terms of trade? Do you check does the client check their credentials, their credit status? A tax invoice is being prepared promptly. Are they meeting the customer's requirements? Has your client introduced any sort of system on the personal property securities register? What's the business doing to try to keep customers happy? There's some questions there. Are your clients trying to generate customer feedback? What are they doing with the VIP customers? Incidentally, I should have said so at the beginning, but if you have any questions, can you please type them in, and in the webinar jargon, raise your hand, and I'll answer the questions at the end of the webinar. But so there's a whole series of questions there relative, in this case, to customer performance. We might look at team members review, the commentary on team members, talks about issues relative to keeping your team members informed of what's going on, mentoring them and encouraging them. Some comments about salary packages. Are you happy with productivity? Could productivity be improved? So hopefully by showing you this, you're getting a feel for the type of questionnaires that are contained within survival in difficult times. It's a series of questionnaires that are assisted by reference to other papers within ESS BIZTOOLS and back to the main paper which we're using to relate to particular items that have been raised within the questionnaire. Waste and shrinkage, a huge issue for many businesses. Are you encouraging people to reduce waste, theft, pilferage, fraud? And there's questions on theft and pilferage and fraud. So the webinar also has a questions on succession planning within the business. Are there buy-sell agreements? Have they been updated? Is the insurance appropriate? Is there a succession plan for management within the business? What's likely to be the reaction of bankers and suppliers if a key person is no longer available in the business through death or an accident? Are family members being trained? Should the business be bringing in an external executive? And so on. Questions to help you open this discussion up with your clients. There's no doubt that accountancy businesses are performing and working with clients who are, in the main, experiencing difficult trading conditions at present. The Deloitte report on digital disruption has really identified the challenges that are confronting many businesses, and in particular accountancy businesses, because accountants are part of professional practices which the Deloitte report identifies as having very serious problems in the next 2.5 years. Indeed, Deloitte's report, Digital Disruption, estimates that accountancy businesses will have a hit of 32% in their business operations. So this is one of the reasons for having this webinar today, to alert you to some products that can assist you to grasp the opportunity from the changes that are occurring and identified in the Deloitte report. Incidentally, if you are unfamiliar with the Deloitte report on digital disruption, in the email we're going to send you after this webinar, we will include a link to that report so you can read it if you wish to get a better understanding of what Deloitte's forecasting. The Deloitte report also identifies other industries that are going to be affected in this first 3 years. The largest effect is on the retail industry, and I'm sure you all appreciate that there's been significant changes in retailing over the last few years. Other industries that are identified include information technology, professional practices. So obviously their forecast is also encompassing legal, engineering, architecture. And one of the other key industries that's identified is real estate. And in 3 years' time, there is a whole range of other industries that Deloitte's are forecasting are going to be affected. So we believe that by utilising products that are contained within our business advisory services modules, and in this case the survival in difficult times, it gives you pre-prepared workbooks, templates, articles that you can then utilise to have the conversation with your client as to what is happening in various aspects of their business, so that you can identify changes that are needed. Many of these changes will be in areas that you as an accountancy business offering business advisory services will be able to supply the consultancy services to your client. So hopefully you'll agree that webinars like this are advising you of the type of products that are available. We honestly believe that an investment in the ESS BIZTOOLS product range will assist you to grasping the opportunities that have been presented.